3, 2, 1. What is the best lie you've ever told? Was it as good as, I think I might be pregnant with rabbits? This is the story of Mary Toft. Godalming, Surrey, April 1726. Mary Toft is weeding a field. What we aren't sure of is what happens next. According to some accounts, she has a miscarriage. In others, she gets sexually assaulted by bunnies. Hop along to 5 months later, and Dr. John Howard publishes a report that Mrs. Toft has given birth to 5 rabbits. A few days later, she gives birth to even more. Toft was popping them out of her like she was making the cast of Watership Down. This was big news in the 18th century. In fact, that's news in any century. All this rabbit and pork, and King George I cannot believe what he's hearing. He sends court anatomist Dr. St. Andre, who witnesses the birth of 2 more rabbits and backs up Dr. Howard's story. Were these doctors idiots? I mean, did they actually think a woman could really give birth to rabbits? Well, yes and yes. To be fair to them, they were aristocrats. They were incredibly well educated, but didn't have much hands-on midwifery experience, so they were easily fooled. Also remember, this is before genetics, it's before we understood how inheritance was passed on to the next generation. A big theory at the time was the idea of maternal impressionism. And that isn't a nice painting by Monet. Maternal impressionism is the idea that what you think and what you dream can actually affect on how your baby grows up. I mean, this theory lasted decades. 120 years later, John Merrick was convinced that his deformities were caused because his mother was startled whilst pregnant by an elephant. Hence the Elephant Man. The king orders Dr. Syriacus Allers to investigate. Allers cottons on early that this is a hoax, but either because he wants to save the reputation of his friend St. Andre, or he wants to placate the true believers enough to get specimens, he claims she's genuine. Back in his lab, he discovers that the rabbit lungs float, meaning they've breathed air outside the womb, and their poo has traces of hay and straw, but he keeps quiet about it. The king has had quite enough and orders Sir Richard Manningham to hop right to it and decide this case once and for all. Manningham has a hutch about how to defraud Toft. She's brought to London and put in isolation in a hospital under constant supervision, and sure enough, the tide of rabbits dry up. Toft doesn't give in right away, but after being threatened with investigative surgery, she confesses and pretty much blames everyone from her mother to Dr. Howard to gypsies. Meanwhile, the king was hopping mad that he'd been taken in, as were the doctors. They were a laughingstock. Despite or because of the medical establishment's embarrassment over the case, all charges against Mary Toft are dropped. Why did she do it? I think we all know the answer to that. She came from Godalming in Surrey. I don't know if you've been. She was bored. Her daily routine consisted of weeding a field. And she was skilled. She must have been an amazing magician. She could do sleight of hand in the most disgusting way imaginable, but she could do it. To this day, she's credited with a rabbit out of the hat technique. So, hey, if you've told a better lie, I'm all ears. Bet you're hopping mad at that. I've made that joke already.